All right, welcome in. It is time for Total Bases. It is Tuesday, which means it's $5 Tuesday at WagerTalk. Myself, Tokyo Brandon, Bryan Leonard. We will all have best bets up on the site, as well as everyone else on the site across every sport for just $5 as part of the $5 Tuesday promo. Yesterday I was in the comments, and someone made a comment that it was along the lines of like, man, are the Yankees ever going to win a game again? And I was going to respond to it. And then Tokyo Brandon, I saw you had already gotten in there and said kind of what I would have said, where it's like,
eventually,
of course they're going to win. Like, let's just pump the brakes a little bit. That being said, they headed into the ninth inning looking like they were going to lose another baseball game, and somehow, some way, rattled off 3 runs to turn a 10-8 deficit into an 11-10 win. So that's where we're going to start the show today. And my question for you is, does that result make you, do you think the Yankees sort of take that and run with it? Or is that still a big concern that after that losing streak last week, they're at home and they're basically staring another loss in the face as it's close to a $2 favorite?
Me or Brian?
You.
Okay. Yeah. I thought after the Yankees got rid of Nuke Weaver that their bullpen would be okay, but apparently it's not. That game went back and forth, man. Yankees were winning, Angels catch up, Angels take a 4-run lead, Yankees catch up, and it was a matter of who's going to win it. I think they've kind of run out of runs. I think we're going to see things calm down a little bit here today. Looking at my rankings, the Angels are actually hitting better than the Yankees in current form, but the Yankees are pretty much better at everything else besides that. I expect these teams to cool off a little. Detmers, looking at how they face against each other, Weathers doesn't have enough of a sample size, but Detmers, 35 at bats against 896 OPS, not terrible, but not great. I expect an under in this one. Usually when teams explode and just go nuts like that, they kind of calm down and they're a little worn out the next day. So if anything, I'd go under here. I did like Weathers coming into the season, but I thought the Yankees would be a good spot for him. But he's kind of being like Sonny Gray, great pitcher, and then you get on the Yankees, and then you just don't know how to find yourself. So, yeah, but I expect an under in this one.
Can't argue with an under. Ryan Weathers, I guess, silenced some of the critics last time out. Bryan Leonard, 8 innings, 1 run, 7 strikeouts, no walks. Scattered 7 hits against the A's in his most recent start. So, and again, Reed Detmers is someone, Brian, that you and I have, I think, both liked, for the Angels. So I certainly can't argue with an under. I could not bet the Yankees at this price at this point. I'll read off their last scores before they won that game: 3-2, 1-0, 5-3, 5-4, 5-4. And then last night, the miracle win, 11-10, going into the bottom of the 9th inning, down 10-8. Brian, I still think that this is a massively inflated Yankee team on the number. Until they start winning with authority, I look for ways to oppose them on the run line. So how do you see this one, Angels, Yankees? Are you seeing it the same way?
Yeah, a couple of lefties going, Detmers and Weathers, looking at a total or a line of about anywhere from 170 to 190 right now. It's still early, not a lot of money in the market, but 9 with the total. I think it'll be another higher scoring game here. If you take a look at what these offenses have done, let's just look at the Angels at the moment. I talk about on Roster Resource on Fangraphs, and they rank every hitter going over the last 7 days. Every single hitter in this Angels lineup in the last week ranks in the top 200 in hitting. You've got Juan Moncada at 188 and just low at 187. Everybody else is hot. Mike Trout is hot. He's number 7 right now. Zach Neto, 95. So the Angels are hitting really well. They'll be facing a lefty here, and they faced back-to-back lefties just 2 days ago. Saturday and Sunday, they faced a couple of lefties. And so I like the situation here for the Angels. I agree. The line is a little bit too high on the Yankees. Still think the Yankees will have some success here offensively. So I'm leaning a little bit with the over and maybe trying to find a way to play the Angels somehow in this game because, hey, if a team's as hot as the Angels are right now, it's tough to send out somebody other than maybe an elite pitcher in Major League Baseball and shut them all the way down. I'm a little bit of a disagreement on this first game. I kind of like the over, and I lean with the Angels.
Well, Brian, you talk about weather often. It looks like we've got some wind blowing out. It doesn't usually make it. Yankee Stadium is not a place that's usually synonymous with that, but it looks like all over the East Coast there's some pretty crazy wind today, just in general. The total's only 8.5. Was that surprising to you that that wasn't like a 9 or a 9.5 based on the weather?
They're only expecting 3% more runs than normally. Because of the winds blowing out, it's at moderate, medium temperature, velocity. They're expecting basically 0.43 more home runs in this game, which would be maybe half a run. So that's what they're expecting out of this one. It's pretty good hitting for just about everywhere today. Pretty good chances. In Baltimore, the wind's blowing completely out with a nice sunny day and all. But that's the most they're expecting. 17% more runs there. Great American Ballpark always is one of those, but Dodger Stadium and Petco Park are at least expected to be affected by the weather or the more unders as opposed to the overs.
It's great stuff. That's why I asked you that question. TV, I'm going to go back to you. I'm going to go to a different game. Brian alluded to maybe the wind being more of a factor out in Baltimore. And G. Hurt says, we need to pin down whether the Diamondbacks are good or not. I think the Diamondbacks are exactly what you've seen. They can hit the ball. They lack pitching depth, and you will get yourself into situations like last night where there's a game that they maybe could have won, should have won, probably should have won with that type of lead, and they end up losing in that fashion. So I'll throw it to you, Tokyo Brandon. Are the Diamondbacks good? Are they not good? And do you like them here against the Orioles on the road?
Before I proceed, I must thank you guys in the comments for looking at my Twitter yesterday and the OPS tweets, and everyone was thanking me for giving you the information and you cashed. Today, I have pitchers to back, pitchers to fade up on my Twitter, Tokyo _Brandon. Go check that out. And I would get in big trouble if I don't promote free TB, FREE TB. If you go to sportsmemo.com, you can use that code and get my play that's up right now for free. So that's a promo. Let's address the Diamondbacks. The Diamondbacks are very up and down. Their bullpen started out as one of the worst in the league, and now they're one of the best in the league. I got them ranked number 3. I don't know where that comes from. Their hitting is a little bit above mediocre at current state. I don't have a big read on Merrill Kelly, but I do believe he's a little bit on the downside of his career. And if you do check my Twitter out and you'll see the OPS rankings, you'll be quite interested where these two pitchers rank in OPS against the batters they're facing today. I don't think overall the Diamondbacks, I think they're just an average team. They'll probably end up 50-50 in my opinion. They're just so inconsistent. They really have the hitters. They remind me of Oakland, actually. They have the Athletics or whatever, the Las Vegas Athletics. They got the hitting, but they don't have the pitching. So expect a lot of overs from these Diamondbacks. Actually, like the A's lineup a little better than the Diamondbacks lineup. But yeah, this is a power lineup that can hit, put runs up, and it's a pitching staff that just can't hold runs down, unfortunately. So playable information today, I would take a Baltimore team total over perhaps, because I don't expect the Diamondbacks bullpen to perform number 3 in all of Major League Baseball for much longer.
Brian, Slick Vic points out the Diamondbacks have been really good against the spread. They've been underdogs in a lot of these games, of course. You were all over the success they had on the road trip to New York and well, this road trip, but the beginning of it, New York and Philadelphia at the beginning of the road trip, all underdogs in every single game. I'll speak to Tokyo Brandon's Diamondbacks bullpen being good to this point. I think I made a comment last week that they just haven't been in many high leverage innings to this point. So it's like they've not only been winning games, they've been winning a lot of games big. So the bullpen really hadn't been in those like big time leverage innings until last night when the Orioles made a little run at them. And what happened was exactly what I would expect to happen for this Diamondbacks bullpen. I don't think they're probably still a bottom 10 unit when pressured, when put into leverage situations. And they're also not very deep. So that's my issue with the Diamondbacks. I think they could play 500 ball in spite of that. And I also don't disagree with TB thinking there could be some runs in this game. How are you seeing D-backs Orioles, Brian?
Yeah, I'm in agreement. I think both these teams are pretty much equal when it comes to teams you want to back offensively and fade in the bullpen. And that's very similar to both these teams. The problem is Rogers is the one guy in this Baltimore staff that I really don't want to like to bet against. Say what you will about him. In the past, he's back to his the way he was when he was in Miami. He was pitching very well. Merrill Kelly, first start in the majors this year, but if you followed him all year long, Arizona's taken their time with him. And so I think a lot of people think he's not going to go very long in this game. And if he does, it's probably because of the Baltimore offense. But I think they're going to send him out here and expect him to go 80 pitches. He built it up in the minor leagues, so I would expect the first 5 innings of this game to be basically what you would expect. But I think the back end of this game will favor the offenses. So somewhat like the over here, but I'm going to wait and play it in game because I think both Kelly and Rogers can have some success early on. I don't like either one of the bullpens, and Baltimore's bullpen, the key players in the bullpen are likely less likely to play in this game than Arizona's. Arizona's got a lot of bullpen arms. None of them are very good. So you really don't have that situation. But Baltimore's got a couple of really good guys, and they had to pitch the last few days. So, second half of the game, maybe live if you're seeing something like a 2-2 at the end of 5, maybe play that over. But at this point, nothing available to me that it jumps out at me right now.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the Orioles clearly they wouldn't have given up Connor Norby and Kyle Stowers if they didn't think that Trevor Rogers was going to be like an ace. I remember when they made that trade thinking they were crazy for doing that. But Brian, is this probably what they had in mind? I think
Norby had a game yesterday.
Yeah. Just shows that as much as we follow baseball, we're not on the inside. We don't know exactly what's going on. We just make our best guess.
I mean, I remember being super critical of the Orioles when they made that trade, and then it looked like just a terrible, terrible move. And now I think even with giving up like an all-star and Kyle Stowers, I think with the premium on starting pitching, you could say that the Orioles got what they intended to get out of that trade. Tokyo Brandon, you made a comment that Norby and some of those baby fish, if you will, had a good game yesterday. The Marlins, of course, went off on the Braves and the won that game 10-4 to improve to 9-8. Something that I think it doesn't surprise me in the least. I think the Marlins have a lot of good players. It's just going to be a matter of how often they can put it together. But this is kind of what I expected out of them so far this season. To be in a lot of games. And now you've got Max Meyer. Of course, the Marlins are still on the road facing Ronaldo Lopez. Hopefully he doesn't punch anyone with a baseball today. This game's in Atlanta. You liked the Braves yesterday. It didn't work out. Are you willing to come back with them here?
Yeah, I made a mistake yesterday. And by the way, thanks for pointing that out, Ethan. Yeah, the code to get my free play on sportsmemo.com is TB free, not free TB. I'm already free. So TB free. So thanks, guys. I made a mistake. Yeah, Atlanta was on a real dead spot yesterday. They put up, I think, 13 runs the game before on the road, and then came back home. I believe they were in two of my quote unquote flat spots, and I kind of overlooked that and took them anyway. So that was a mistake on my part. Actually, I parlayed Atlanta together with the Rangers. I liked the Rangers yesterday, but yeah, I should have just taken the Rangers straight up and forgot Atlanta. That was my mistake. But regarding today, I think Atlanta will bounce back. I don't know if they're going to win the game or not, but I've got them ranked a lot higher than Miami in almost every category, despite yesterday's troubles. I have them ranked number 2 in MLB in batting, where I got Miami 16. Bullpen, I got Atlanta 3 pegs above Miami, and I got Reynaldo Lopez ranked pretty high. But again, my pitcher rankings are going to be a little skewed because we just started the season. It's still April 14th. So I'm not going to put too much credence in my pitcher rankings yet. And past OPS and past performance against the pitchers they're facing, I don't have either one of these guys with any significant edge that we can use for betting. I think Atlanta's a better team. I don't know if they're going to win. Miami's one of those teams, one of those sneaky teams that can beat anyone on any day. So it's really hard to bet against Miami, but I maybe Atlanta's team total or Atlanta. I think Atlanta will put runs up again. They're the second best lineup in current form. So that's how I would go.
TB, I just wanted to say that I agreed with the Braves yesterday. Ultimately, they started to, like, the Marlins started to take a little money. I didn't really subscribe to like the dead spot theory. Listen, in April, like, the Marlins started to take a little bit of money. There was actually a pretty good spot to jump in with the Braves at like a better number than it was early in the day briefly. And then I actually do think the Braves took some respected money at that point to then sort of like get it back up to, there was some fluctuation in the market. Point is, I don't think the whole like, oh, we just played on Sunday Night Baseball, folks, it's April 13th. That's not a big deal right now. That's just like playing any other night game. Like, it literally does not matter. So I didn't dislike the Braves yesterday. I just am kind of at the point where it's like, Brian, I don't want to bet against the Marlins because of what Tokyo Brandon said. Any given day, like, they're lively enough to just pretty much win any game. And you never know what you're going to get from their pitching staff, but it's all these guys that are like pretty good at throwing like 3 or 4 innings. I'd rather be on them than against them, I think, at this point.
Yeah, the whole thing about playing the Sunday night game is travel, and Atlanta didn't have to travel. So that made no difference to them. The team that you would have hated would have been the Cleveland Guardians, who had to travel, and they were a road favorite, but they didn't happen. Yeah, keep in mind it's the travel situation. It's not the night day. They play Friday night, Saturday morning, Saturday day games all year long. The way I look at this is I didn't like Lopez coming into the season, and I think that's been bared out. I think he's an overrated pitcher. He's not the pitcher he was earlier. He had a really good season and then got hurt, but I didn't expect much for him before that season, and I don't expect much from him now. The problem is I liked Meyer coming into the season. He looked good in the preseason again, and he's done nothing in the regular season. It's something that he continues. At this point, he's a quad A pitcher. He's done well and he's looked good at certain points, but when he gets out there to pitch, other than that one streak he had, last year or 2 years ago, he has not put it together. So that said, I don't want to lay this number with the Braves. The Braves are the better team as much as I like Miami, but I don't want Lopez. So I'm going to be passing on this one.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on Meyer. Like, I loved him last year. I thought the Marlins, if you remember back in 2024, they pretty much buried him in the minor leagues, and they kept saying, oh, we're trying to, we want him to work on his mechanics. They tweaked his pitch mix. And I thought they were like manipulating his time a little bit, but then he came out last year and had that, like you said, Brian, that one stretch was like, kind of like what I always had in my head for him. And I think that still creeps into my handicap a little bit when it comes to Max Meyer. I think he's going to be this, like, I have that image in my head. It's hard to bet against him, but like you're saying is, if you take that one really good run out, What has he really been at the big league level? I think is like, kind of the best way to phrase that. And then unless you just get like that, like unless he just reverts to that here, like the 3 starts this year, he makes it 4 or 5 innings. He hasn't made it past the 5th inning yet this season. And then you get into that Marlins bullpen where it's like they don't have any big time leverage guys, but they're all kind of good. It is a tough. This is a tough one. I'm with you. I can't. I just probably not one I'll have any interest in betting today. All right, we got to bring up the so the other one that people are commenting on in the chat, and yeah, I'll go back to you, Brian. Boston Red Sox, Garrett Crochet gave up a 10 spot yesterday. What do we make of that? And how do they respond? Red Sox Twins.
They were playing really well the last couple of games. Who saw that coming? I've watched there's a lot of guys I follow on Twitter that are really good at breaking down pitching. And basically, until late in the game where his velocity had dropped, and by that time you could see it, he's already out of it. His team is down big. Why throw it as hard as you normally would? So I don't think the velocity situation has any effect on it. I just think maybe he just had a bad game. It happens. And they kept him in for as long as they could. He goes every 5-6 days. He had to eat it yesterday, and he didn't have it. So we'll see. I'm not, I had him rated as the 3rd best pitcher in Major League Baseball. I see still top 10 pitcher. He just had a bad day. In fact, if you take a look at the expected ERA, it was 3 before the game. It's 3.09 for the rest of the season. So they didn't make much of an adjustment. I would suggest not to overreact to it. Knowing the competitor he is, next time he comes out, he will be extremely focused, and we may be able to bet them at a discount. In this game, we got Sonny Gray going against Mick Abel, and Abel was able last time he pitched. He pitched very well. Right when we were getting ready to write him off for the season, he came out and pitched well. Sonny Gray, I didn't like him from a personnel standpoint going to this division after pitching in a really good pitcher's park in St. Louis, in a division that doesn't have the hitting that this does, but he's done pretty well for Boston as well. Gray against Abel. Gray is about a 130 favorite in this game, 135, and you're getting a total of about 8. That Minnesota offense, I'm telling you right now, look down that list. How the hell are they scoring all these runs? But they are. It's just something that it's the way baseball is. You look at Minnesota's lineup. They're not going to scare you right now. Obviously, Byron Buxton, when he's out there, he's a really good hitter. But they've got guys in there. Josh Bell is the 13th ranked hitter in the last 7 days. This was a guy like 2 years ago nobody wanted, and he was an afterthought. Ryan Jeffers, a really good hitting catcher. He's number 2 in baseball the last 7 days. Everybody on this team, other than James Outman, who bats 9th, and maybe Matt Wallner, have been slumping. Or have been pitching well or hitting well. Everybody else is knocking the cover off the ball. So there's reason to take a look at Minnesota here. They're just hitting really well. And from the Boston side, they're hitting okay too. Duran's hitting well. Contreras is hitting great. He's 21st. Trevor Story, 33. He's waking up. Rafaela's waking up. So we've got 2 offenses that can put some runs on the board. I'm a little flummoxed on this game, to be totally honest with you. It's Boston or nothing for me, but I don't want to lay the 130 into a team hitting as well as Minnesota is right now.
Yeah, TB, I love this Twins organization, but the reason I haven't been on the Twins yet this year much is because I look at I look at some of the guys at AAA and I'm like, oh, like Walker Jenkins. I thought these guys some of the AAA guys were going to be taking the spot of some of the guys in this lineup already. And that hasn't been the case because the Twins have played so well. So to me, I look at that and say, okay, guys like Outman, maybe the couple that haven't been hitting, they can't be comfortable there because you've got, the AAA team is as loaded as any team in AAA right now. Jenkins, Gonzalez, they have 7 guys that are legit. Alan Roden they grabbed in the Blue Jays organization. But a bunch of good players down there at St. Paul. So I I'm kind of in on the Twins. They also, if you remember last trade deadline, they kind of ran out of time. And because of that, they kept Joe Ryan, who's, at the time, I'm sure they would have loved to get something for him. But now you've got an ace. Mick Abel, of course, came over in the Johan Duran deal. He was expected to be pretty good. He didn't start the season great, but as Brian said, he kind of got it going. I like this Twins team. I'm not betting against them. You've hated the Red Sox. So talk to me, TV. Twins, Red Sox, how are you looking at this one?
I did. I said they're peaking when they were 1-6, but since then, they're 6-10. I see guys in the comments, the Red Sox are cooked, blah, blah, blah. If the Red Sox win this game, they and the Twins will have the same record. So relax, guys. It's April 14th. There's a long way to go here. Red Sox are in a tough division, so I give Twins the nod if we're going to bet which of these teams is going to make the playoffs. Twins probably have an easier division because Orioles, Rays, Yankees is pretty treacherous division to be in, I think. But in any case, regarding today, I think Boston's bullpen is performing quite well, and Minnesota's is not. Hitting wise, yeah, Minnesota bats have been on fire. I've cashed a couple times Minnesota's team total. You'll notice that the team totals are either 3.5 or 4.5 for normal teams. And the Dodgers are not a normal team, so they'll get a 5.5 once in a while. But the Twins regularly are getting 3.5 team totals on the road when they get 9 innings of at bats, which is just ridiculous the way they're hitting. I think they're averaging like 4.2 or 3 runs per game, which is pretty high in MLB right now. So, that being said, I think Boston has the bullpen edge. I think Boston has the pitching edge. And if you look at my Twitter X account, you can see how Sonny Gray has performed against these Minnesota bats pretty well. So I think Boston could bounce back here. I don't know. They're both of these teams tough to back, like you guys said. Tough to back, but this seems like these two teams seem like they're going to zig and zag each other. So I wouldn't be surprised if Boston gets away with a win. By the way, it's $5 Tuesday, everyone. Everything on WagerTalk.com is either $5 or free. Go to WagerTalk.com.
I'll give a pick out here since my Pirates hot take is holding up well so far to start the year. I think the Twins win the AL Central. That's my hot take of the day. Listen, go look at their Kalen Culpepper, Walker Jenkins, Gabriel Gonzalez. Orlando Arcia is playing well in AAA for the Twins right now. He's kind of a veteran that's had stretches of success. Manuel Rodriguez, like that is as loaded of a team at the AAA level that you're going to find. I would not be surprised if a lot of those guys are actually better than the guys in the lineup right now that are hitting. And that's some serious depth right there. And then you talk about the division. TB made the point. Who else is great in this division? Do I want the Royals? No. Do I want the Guardians? No. Do I want the White Sox? No. I guess the Tigers, but the Tigers haven't looked great. Give me the Twins in the AL Central. Brian, go ahead.
I like your overall thought on this until you realize who the owners are of the Minnesota Twins. They've never promoted the younger guys up there. They're going to wait as long as possible. And you hit on a key point that you said they're winning. And so the fans don't get upset when you're not bringing the minor league guys up when you're winning. They're not going to be winning all season long. But Minnesota, very much like Cleveland in the past and a lot of the other, Pittsburgh, for example. Pittsburgh didn't do anything until this year when they thought they were going to contend. Minnesota didn't come into the season expecting to contend. Yes, I like their guys in the minors, but I can't see them starting their clocks any earlier than they have to. And that's the only thing that I would agree with you. I do like their future, but I don't think it's going to happen this year.
Counter to that is a lot of those guys were up already last year. It's not like they just came from AA to AAA. A lot of those guys already have a minimum half season at AAA. So I'll push back on that a little bit. I think maybe like Kalen Culpepper might not get rushed, but like a Gabriel Gonzalez, Gio Gonzalez, I haven't heard that name in a while. Gabriel Gonzalez was already up for a long stretch last year. I don't think they're going to bury Walker Jenkins down there all year. So again, I think it's going to be dictated by like the guys that are up there right now. As long as they're playing good, they're not making any moves. They will absolutely be conservative in that regard. But what I'm saying is the depth is there in that organization where, you know, they have options to potentially improve the team from within, which is something I like to look at when I'm trying to map something out over 162 games. Craig Ike says Twins puff pass at him. Probably the same type of people that told me I was crazy about the Pirates. And now the Pirates just continue to win games. They'll probably win again today. But I want to know who Tokyo Brandon thinks is going to win today. So I'm going to TB. What is your best bet for the show? What are we putting in the parlay from you?
Okay. 2 promos real quick. TB free at sportsmemo.com. You can get my feature MLB play for free. And go to my Twitter, find my OPS pitcher rankings and batters to back today. And I'll tell you, it has nothing to do with my parlay leg, but Jeff McNeil is the batter to back today, guys, if in your hitter props, trust me. On to my parlay leg. I'm going to go, is it that time already? Wow. I'm going to go with the Pirates here on the money line for my parlay leg. I think they have the legitimate pitcher. Keller's been pitching well. Mikolas does not belong in Major League Baseball, and he's got the worst bullpen in Major League Baseball. Well, one of the 2 or 3 worst bullpens in Major League Baseball behind him. Yes, the Nationals can score. This might be like a 9-7 kind of game, but if it is, give me the Pirates at home in a 9-7 game over the Nationals any day of the week. So yeah, I will take the Pirates here on my parlay leg. I think it's a minus 180 to 190.
180.
Yeah, I mean it's I figured someone would bring up a game we haven't talked about and we give it the sort of the full go. So, you know, Pirates Nationals will work. TB, I'm not, you know, there's absolutely no way I'm fading the Pirates with this Nationals team right now with how high I've been on the Pirates. But, and I'll throw this to you, Brian, I do think the price is getting a little out of control. I don't think I have no problem with thinking the Pirates win today, but just for some context, I mean, you could have got the Pirates with Skeens at like the same price yesterday. So now you're telling me that like Keller, like I should be, you know, I look at it like that. Like I could have got the Pirates in this price range with Skeens yesterday. Now I have to pay the same price to back them with Keller. That's a turnoff to me, but you know, I love this Pirates team. They did. I'll throw one more thing out because someone in the chat says Tokyo Brandon's been all over Pajes. He cashes every day. Bryan Leonard was ahead of the curve on Jordan Walker, who's been just hitting moonshots ever since he brought him up. I did a video yesterday, my Under the Radar segment, where I talked about buying Connor Griffin yesterday. I said, let's go total bases over 1.5. He had 4. It was an easy win. I would start betting him every single day. That dude is not going to be held down much longer. Generational talent. So let's just continue to, that's going to be my pick in this game. Connor Griffin, let's go over total bases again. I gave it out yesterday. I'm going to give it out every day till it loses, Bryan Leonard. What do you think about that?
I got no problem with it. He's going against Mikolas, who is one of the worst pitchers in Major League Baseball. I think Washington, I still like the offense on Washington. And you're right, Keller is not Skeens, but yesterday's starting pitcher at least had a future that people thought would work out well. It did not in that game. And so he's more highly thought of than Mikolas is. So that's why you're getting, it's not the Keller, it's the Mikolas is on the mound. But yeah, I think Pittsburgh wins too. I just don't want to lay that number. I'm going to go off the board and talk about a game that we haven't spoken about yet, and that's going to be Toronto against Milwaukee. Right now, it's Gausman against Mizorowski, and Mizorowski is about a 120 to 130 favorite in a total of 7, which is kind of low. But I guess they're assuming that these 2 starters are going to have a great day. I think this is the time to bet against Kevin Gausman. He's been the one bright spot for the Blue Jays as a starting pitcher. I mean, Cease is what we thought he would be. But Gaussman has really come out and played well. But we've got a lot of information, and TB will talk about that. He's got plenty of information on Kevin Gaussman as a starter in Major League Baseball. Yes, he's on a good run right now, but we've seen enough of it, and we can confidently say you're paying a heavy price on him right now. Mizrowski, I love this kid. He's pitching at home, and I think the Brewers are the better team. The Toronto bullpen has been the real bright spot right now, but I don't like their bullpen. It's very similar to some of the other teams, like the Arizona. I don't like the bullpen as much as I like the bullpen in Milwaukee. So we've got a starting pitcher I want to fade. We've got Milwaukee playing at home, which is always a very good team. And they've got a guy I want to back, and I like the bullpen better. So I will lay the number here on Mizrowski in Toronto. If this game was played 4 or 5 days ago, because Milwaukee was on a really hot run to start the season, this line would be closer to 140 than it is to the 120. We're seeing that right now. So I'm a guy who's looking for bargains, and I think if this game was played any other time this year, we'd be giving a little bit more on this game. So I'm going to lay it with Milwaukee. As I said, it goes anywhere from 120 to 130 out there right now. So 125, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I'll bring TB in here. He referenced your, starting pitching rankings and stuff like that. I'll give you a second to speak on Gaussman, Mizrowski, Blue Jays, Brewers. Agree, disagree, or if you have a prop you want to give out, it's a good spot to do it.
Jeff McNeil over 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs is a great prop today, guys. Regarding this game, my first inclination was, under. These two pitchers are amazing. But then I ran my numbers and I put them on my Twitter X account, and not bad. There's one pitcher today, and if you go check my Twitter X, you'll see there's one pitcher today who I expect to perform much worse than Mikolas. He's out there, and you can fade him. Regarding this game, though, I agree with Brian. Generally speaking, Gaussman does tend to start fading with strong starts. Probably his age, maybe it's his personality, his focus. I don't know. These pitchers are creatures of habit, but yes, he does start fading. Mizrowski, young guy. I like Toronto's lineup a little better than Milwaukee's, though, and I like Toronto's bullpen performing really well. So it's kind of hard to back Milwaukee in this spot. So I'll probably stay off this game. Kind of the strong points and the weak points are kind of butting heads in this one to me. So I'll probably lay off it. And I don't want to bet an under just specifically for what Brian was talking about.
Yeah, I mean, I'll kind of just circle back to a point I've made a few times in the last couple of weeks. Like, short term, the Blue Jays are not it. Like, they are going to have to really battle these next couple weeks to not go like 10 games under 500, in my opinion. I'm not saying that they can't do that, but it is, they call up Eloy Jimenez the other day. I mean, if you think that's going to solve problems, like, that's something I referred to last week is, they don't really have a ton at the AAA level. And honestly, I would have rather seen Hendrik Pinango called up, because he's kind of like he's like, in my opinion, the best guy that they have at AAA. I've wrote about him a few times, just over the course of like my betting AAA. But Jimenez is the veteran. They must think they need the sort of the veteran presence right now. Point is, it doesn't even like, that's just one side of the coin. The real issue is just the lack of pitching and pitching depth. And again, the Blue Jays come in at 6-9. They come in against a Brewers team that just got swept by the Nationals. Like, that's a good Brewers baseball team. I actually don't really know what to think about. I don't know how they got swept by the Nats. That to me, I guess what goes back to like the Nats are hitting the ball right now. I'm kind of with Brian. I think this sets up better for the Brewers to have success. And I would not be like scared to fade the Blue Jays because they're the Blue Jays. Because I'm telling you right now, they could get to the end of April 10 games under. Like, I don't think that's a stretch given some of the injuries they've had and the lack of pitching right now. They're 3 games under right now. They're 6-9. They could be set. Brian, do you think I'm crazy to think this team could be 7 or 8 games under 500 at the end of this month? Like, they're a short-term fade for me.
Yeah, luckily they've got 2 guys that are pitching really well in their first 2 starters. Other than that, Yeah, they have some troubles, but we will see. But you've been pretty head on about being able to pick on these teams before they get hot. So, and looking to fade them. So I'm not going to argue.
And certainly, you hope to see him 4 games under, because that means your Brewers play wins today. And that is, again, that'll be leg number 2 of our parlay. I will. So let's do this. Let's go one more game. We can. I think I'm going to use a game we already talked about. So I'll go. We have a couple people in the chat that want to talk Tigers Royals. So I'll use my 5 minutes, if you will, to throw that game to you guys quick, give my comments out, and then I'll decide what the final leg of the parlay is going to be. Brian, I'll bring you back in. Cole Reagans, Framber Valdez, people asking what's wrong with the Tigers. I just took a shot at them, said I would play the Twins to win the division. I may double down on that in a second, but I'll go to you first. Tigers Royals, do you have concerns about the Tigers, and would you fade them here?
No, I think the line is right. We're looking at a total of 7.5, or about a 120 to 125 for Valdez. I prefer Valdez only because I think he's more consistent, although he didn't look good. He hasn't looked great all the way, but I've talked about this. When you go to a new team, I look to fade those kind of pitchers. Reagans is a guy who got hit by the pitch, got hit the other day in more ways than one. He didn't pitch very well, and he got hit and had to leave the game early. And he's had a lot of injury problems in the past. I don't think that's going to have any residual in this game. But 2 guys that are very good pitchers, and this is a pretty good pitcher's ballpark. But I think if I play it, I either play the under, or I play Valdez, or maybe I play Kansas City team total under, something to that effect. But there are really a lot of really good pitching matchups on today. In fact, even if you're a rap music fan, they got the Wu King Clan playing in Seattle and San Diego tonight, by the way. That's my music joke of the day. But yeah, a lot of good pitching matchups on today's card.
Tokyo Brandon, that was I believe Reagans got hit in his hand, and it was an instant velo drop from that point before he left the game. Yet he's back out here, just 5, I believe, on normal rest. So how are you seeing this one, Royals Tigers?
And he has amazing stats against these batters in 60 at-bats against. So my first inclination was I really want to back him here. And then I broke the teams down, and Detroit currently is doing everything better than the Royals, unfortunately. And I actually have Valdez ranked higher than Reagans as well. So if anything, I would want to back Detroit in this situation. But given the fact that Reagans has dominated these batters, it's a push for me. Either way, I can't go either way in this one. If Detroit's team total in the first 5 innings was 2.5, I might consider going under, but I haven't checked it yet. They're currently batting number 12 in MLB, though, so taking an under on a team batting number 12 in MLB would not be the way to go for me.
Yeah, I kind of think the number's close. Like, listen, a fully healthy Reagans, like if I knew he was like totally good, I'm probably on him all day here. I love that guy. I think I bet him like two seasons ago. The season he got like sort of had that really bad injury, I had him to win the AL Cy Young. Like I was that high on him, and I still think he can get back there at some point. But yeah, I mean, what horrible luck to get, like, not only to get hit with a comebacker, but to get like hit on your hand is just like, that's just insanely bad luck. He's had some tough injury luck the past couple of years, but I'm a Cole Reagans guy for sure. I typically don't look to bet against him. I'll tell you what though, I'm making this bet. SU Iceman says Twins are 7-1 to win division. Give me that all day. That shouldn't be 7-1. They might not do it, but listen, like I said, I'd rather have them over the White Sox, Guardians, or Royals, and I'm not sold on the Tigers yet. So at that price, take a little shot with the Twins 7-1, no problem. For our parlay, I'm going to take a little shot with Twins plus 1.5. If you're betting the game straight, because like people are going to be, say, oh, don't lay juice. Like, we're putting together a 3-team parlay. I don't mind the minus 145 price tag in the 3-teamer for the extra run. I don't have a problem with Twins plus 120. I make it like Twins plus 103. So I think it's a relatively good like numbers play. If that's how you want to go. But for the sake of our parlay, I'm going to go Twins plus 1.5, minus 145 to close out the 3-teamer. Before I read it off, remember, it's $5 Tuesday at WagerTalk. We all have $5 plays up. We also have the double play package. So pick any of the 2 handicappers on your screen, and you can get a 2-for-1 for 3 days. I will say this real quick to Gus B. Bussin, who asked about Noah Schultz. My Under the Radar segment does about 6 minutes on Noah Schultz today, who, weather permitting, will make his major league debut tonight in Chicago against the Rays. So check that out. That'll be up on the WagerTalk YouTube channel very soon if it's not already. Again, today's 3-teamer, we have Bryan Leonard on Brewers, minus 130. I'm going to go with the Twins plus 1.5. That's about minus 140, minus 145. And Tokyo Brandon's going Pirates minus 175. We got to hit one of these parlays sooner or later. I hope it is today. Also, I think Carmine's still on vacation, but shout out Carmine. Guy's always somewhere cool. And today's in the chat, which is awesome for us.
Always cool.
He says, show your appreciation and support and hit that like button. Yes, please hit the like, subscribe, check out the replay, drop a comment. TB was in there all day yesterday answering comments. I will try to be in there more today as well. And the 3 of us will see you tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Eastern for more Total Basis. We'll see you guys then.